Decision by the nation's highest court opened Pandora's box for criminal cases here in Oklahoma. Well, this week, the U.S. Supreme Court heard oral arguments in a case that questions territorial boundaries of an Indian reservation. News 4's Lily Zhang joins us now with the details on this. New tonight, Lily.
Yeah, Jolene, this case involves a few moving parts, so we're going to walk this through. Now, the case of Carpenter versus Murphy was granted to be heard after the conviction of an Oklahoma man was overturned. Patrick Murphy was sentenced to death for a 1999 murder, and it's a case that he claimed should have been heard in federal court, not state.
Did the state of Oklahoma have its jurisdiction to prosecute him?
This is the question before the U.S. Supreme Court right now after hearing oral arguments this week on an Oklahoma case. It's centered around this man, Patrick Murphy. He was convicted and sentenced to death for murder before that conviction was overturned. Murphy claimed because the crime happened on Indian territory, he, as a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, should have been tried in federal court, not state.
This large part of eastern Oklahoma was granted to Native Americans, and then it was never formally disestablished.
Dr. Keith Akins is a professor of political science at the University of Central Oklahoma with a specialization in judicial politics.
What the court has said in these cases in the past, and past precedent, was that in order for a Indian reservation or Indian territory to be formally disestablished, it has to be done, unequivocally through an act of Congress. And that didn't happen here.
Lisa Blatt, an attorney representing the state of Oklahoma, stated in court this week, Eastern Oklahoma is not an Indian reservation. This was challenged by Supreme Court justices who also grilled an attorney for Murphy and questioned how this was not recognized or asserted by the Creek Nation for a century. The state has warned a potential change in civil and criminal law if the court sides with the Creeks.
There is potentially a result that would set aside hundreds of convictions, criminal convictions that occurred in the historic lands of the 5 civilized tribes. Potentially, federal government would have to retry those cases.
Murphy's attorney suggested the state's concerns were, quote, dramatically overstated. And we also know that a ruling will be issued in 2019.
Thank you, Lily.